I'm Aryeh Schwartz alongside Rachel Galligan, and welcome to the Winsidr Show, where it's all about the W. 1 month into the season, and there is tons to discuss. The Aces, the Storm, Paige, and more. So let's dive right in. If you like our show, please consider joining our Patreon community, patreon.com/Winsidr. That's patreon.com/Winsidr. For less than a cup of coffee a month, you can directly show support for the hard work we do covering the W. And don't forget to see our amazing staff's written content on Winsidr.com. That's Winsidr.com. In preparation for this season, we've expanded our content on a variety of social media platforms. Make sure you're following Winsidr on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, and YouTube. And you might notice, if you're watching the video version of this, that I'm rocking this Comet shirt. Shout out to Homage, who does some amazing WNBA merch. They have a new line coming out, a crossover of WNBA and the great comic book Peanuts. Go check it out. In our show notes, we have the link to our affiliate link. You can also check that out on winsidr.com under the affiliates link. All right, welcome back to the show. Excited to be here with Rachel. We took a week off. We're back. We got a lot to discuss. Honestly, some topics that I feel like, our first topic, all right, let's just dive right in. The Aces decline. This has been bubbling for a while. I don't know where you want to start. I don't know where you want to go with this. I mean, there is so much to discuss. Let me set the stage real quick. This team moves from San Antonio. They were San Antonio Stars. They moved to Vegas. They become the Aces under the guidance and leadership of Bill Laimbeer and Dan Padover as the GM. They are horrible. They get a couple good draft picks. They get Kelsey Plum. They get Jackie Young. They have Dearica Hamby. They get A'ja Wilson. Obviously, they build up to this point where then they are a perennial semifinals team during the Bill Laimbeer, Dan Padover days. They never get over that hump and win that championship. You could, if you want, compare them to the Connecticut Sun, a team that was perennially in the semifinals, possibly even the finals, just could not get over the hump. Then Bill Laimbeer steps aside, and in comes Becky Hammon. Becky Hammon takes over, wins a championship in her first 2 years. Third year, does not do it. Fourth year, it's starting to get worrisome. That's the lay of the land, Rachel. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that everything has its peaks, and then, like we talk about all the time with coaching changes, whatever it might be, like knowing when to get off the wave or knowing when the wave is subsiding one way or another. And that's the impression I get with Vegas right now. I mean, and everyone, I think I'm really glad that you did that, because I think it's really easy for people to kind of forget, like, it was a progression to get to those back-to-back championships. And what made those teams so good is exactly what they're lacking right now, in my opinion, which, well, the depth has always been an issue for Las Vegas. I mean, that's something we've always talked about. But they were able to overcome a lot of that depth because of the chip on their shoulder and the edge that they played with. And that they had it. They had that sort of like fiery edge that they brought to the court night in and night out, riding on A'ja Wilson, the momentum that Kelsey Plum brought. And I just feel like that's really fizzled out over here in the last couple of years. Like, we just don't see that competitive fire. Now, I'm not talking about A'ja Wilson. She's the greatest player in the world. I'm talking as a collective unit, that chip on their shoulder, something to prove, that extra oomph that you're competing for night in and night out. And it just sort of feels like there's been this patchwork in place for the last couple of years, where we're trying to ride this wave and replicate what we did a couple of years ago. But it's every year, it just gets worse and worse and worse. You lose a Kelsey Plum, probably didn't have much of a choice in that. You replace her with a Jewel Lloyd, hoping that, like, okay, maybe this can somewhat hopefully cancel each other out. Well, Jewel Lloyd's shooting 29% right now from the field. Like, I don't know that Jewel Lloyd is playing her best basketball of her career for the last couple of years. I think everybody is very much aware of that. So, and again, the depth issues, I don't know. I just feel like we are watching the rapid decline. I don't know if there comes a point, and I was trying to think to myself last night, like, maybe we get to August and we're like, okay, the Aces are peaking now. Like, do I think that there could be a realistic opportunity that this team turns a corner and they start dominating again? I don't know if that's what I'm expecting from this team. I guess it's possible. You still have, the greatest player in the world, in Asia Wilson. You have Jackie Young, who, like last night, literally throwing her team on her back, trying to do whatever she can to get a win. She's one of the best players in the WNBA that does not get enough recognition. You've got Chelsea Gray. But I just again, it's more of I'm talking collective unit. Do I think this team has what it takes to make a deep run and start winning a ton of games and dominating? I guess it's possible, but I just kind of am looking at this team. I'm not ready to toss this season out. It's too soon for that. But it definitely feels like, especially with the new CBA and everything that's changing a year from now, it's an end of an era. This whole thing needs to get blown up in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to try and lock down a couple of your players. There's key here's the thing. First of all, let me just run down a little bit. Opponents' points per game, they're ranked 9th. Aces scoring per game, they're ranked 8th. So we're talking about a team that statistically, just on numbers of points per game, we're talking about a bubble playoff team right now. Obviously, look, we're a fourth of the way into the season almost. So let's understand that. But I think
it's a big enough sample size to start sounding the alarm on some of this stuff. It's not like this is a week into the season and they're not looking good. This is they're not doing great at anything.
Yeah. Oh. No, exactly. We're a fourth of the way into the season, essentially. This is enough of a sample size. If we were one game in and we're worried, but also I think let's not be foolish here. This isn't just a this season problem. Everything we've heard from Becky and the team so far this season echoes what they said throughout all of last season, except for one game here and there where, we finally got it back on track. A month later, they'll go, we tried to fake it there, but it wasn't you know what I mean? So I think that there's fundamental flaws with the makeup of this franchise, if I'm being blunt, just in terms of having a GM thinking forward about what you're using your draft picks for, what you're investing in terms of your bench depth. You have had a handful of years of your team repeatedly being a deep playoff contender. You have not filled out the bench with young talent that has an opportunity to grow. You filled out the bench with young talent that you refuse to play, who doesn't seem to have a high ceiling. You filled out the bench with vet players who don't seem to have that oomph, that kick, that thing that you need. And now you're sitting there where you haven't had a meaningful draft pick besides Nye. I don't even know. Yeah.
Well, and let me just add a couple stats, which I didn't even realize this until we've been having this conversation. Last in the league in field goal percentage. You've got the greatest player in the world in Asia Wilson, and you're shooting 39%. That's 13th. That is bottom of the barrel, dead last in the WNBA in field goal percentage. I mean, people got to make shots. Jewel Lloyd's got to make shots for this team. And then take it one step further, last in the league in assists per game. You got the top Minnesota Lynx averaging 24 assists per game, dead last in the WNBA, Las Vegas Aces averaging 16.3. So they're not sharing the basketball well. They're not getting high percentage shots. They're not moving the basketball. I mean, the offense is stagnant. And the good looks that they do get, they're not making them. So
literally. Well, also rebounding, they're bottom 3 of the league. The one stat, Rachel, that they're ranking well in, you want to guess? This is a head scratcher. It's turnovers per game. They're only averaging 11.
Yeah.
New York is at 13. Atlanta's at 13. Those are the closest other teams. Chicago Sky, predictably, at 17.8, basically at 18 per game. Wow. You're averaging almost 20 turnovers a game, Chicago. Wow.
Right now they literally don't have a point guard. I mean, God love Haley Van Lith. I don't know that, she needs to be just solely on the ball 24/7. But I think that the most glaring thing outside of the numbers, and I think that those turnover numbers speak to even just the pace. When Vegas was in their heyday and they were clicking, they were getting up and down the floor, playing in transition, rim running, getting high percentage kick out shots. That to me screams like they're just stagnant. Not that you gamble more and you turn the ball over more, but you know what I'm saying? The pace, they're almost playing too careful in some ways. But I would say outside of all the numbers and the stats that we've talked about, the most glaring thing for me that I'm shocked with is they go up and get punked by an expansion team. Humiliated. Everybody was talking about how Golden State beat Las Vegas. How did it happen? I had to go back and watch it. Like what's going on here? Holy, and then you have a few days of practice to chew on that, to watch film, to let it marinate. Like as a competitor, as a professional in whatever your craft is, when you get humiliated and embarrassed, I always look at how do you respond to that? Like if you take a shot and you kind of get knocked down, how are you getting back up? And this is how Las Vegas responded. That to me is the most concerning and the most questionable aspect. It was, how was Vegas going to respond from that Golden State game? Was that going to be a wake-up call moment, turning point for this team? It wasn't. I mean, they came out and looked equally as bad as they did against the Sparks. So,
Rachel, first quarter, they lost the first quarter to LA 29-17. Now, keep in mind, we're talking about a 4-7 LA Sparks. Also, just insane that can't be right. This has to be wrong.
I was like,
that can't be right. Let me just double check this because ESPN, there's no way they've played. They have. Never mind. Wow, they have played a ton of games, and Phoenix is the one complaining about the amount of games they've played. Whatever. I mean, Phoenix is 7-4, so I guess same thing. But Dallas is 1-10. We'll talk about that in a moment. Look, the point that I'm trying to make here is the Sparks are not, the Sparks handling the Aces for the majority of that game. Shout out to Aryeh Jackson, comes back 11-17, drops a 30-point game with 7 rebounds. Just wild. Hilariously enough, on her plus minus was -1. But this team is not they've been one of the more disappointing teams of the season. It's not like the Valkyrie who we know, they're going to give you a run. They're going to give their all. If their shots are falling, you better watch out. This is a team that's really struggled to find their path this season, as their records show, as their stats show. And they just ran them out the gym at one point. Yes, Vegas charged back. It only ends up being 89-97 final score. But I mean, just not the type of game that you want to see in a bounce back after being run out the gym by the expansion.
Yeah, and when it comes down to the Sparks, if it's going to be the Kelsey Plum, De'Arica Hamby show, they're not going to win a lot of games. But who is yet your third level scorer, your fourth level scorer? You've got to get Aryeh Jackson touches and shots. At this point, she's no longer just a rookie who comes in and, look, she had a great game. She's got to be a fundamental contributor night in and night out. She's got to give you, I would say, 12 to 15 every single night. That's just my personal opinion. Aryeh Stevens, she gave him 19 last night. So you've got those 4. And that's not counting Odyssey Sims, who's an incredible vet, who at times has really tried to throw this team on her back this season. But those 4 of Aryeh Jackson, De'Arica Hamby, Aryeh Stevens, Kelsey Plum, they've got to be good as a unit. All 4 of them have to contribute one way, shape, or form. If it ends up being just 2 of them, I think that's where LA struggles. It's got to be balanced scoring.
Let's move on to what had to be the game of the night last night. Seattle Storm dethroned the Lynx from their undefeated season. The Lynx now 9-1 at home in Seattle. Seattle sitting at 6-4. They're 4-2 at home. Final score 84-94. Doesn't tell the whole story, I would say, just in terms of how close that game was coming down to those last few minutes. We get into the foul situations and Seattle runs away with it. Minnesota, let me start by the Seattle side because they won. Really, really impressive. Nneka 21, Gabby 12, Ezzy 13, Skylar 18. Erica Wheeler goes off 3 for 5 from the 3-point line, 20 points, 2 daggers early in the game, and then a dagger to seal it late in the game. And honestly, the thing that really put them over the top, in my opinion, was Malanga. She comes in 4 of 5 from the field, 8 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds in just 13 minutes. Impressive to see her getting comfortable. And what she does is you can't take advantage of the fact that Seattle has to sit Ezzy or Nneka, because then you're bringing in Malanga, and that brings a new sense or a new element of problems for the defense, for the offense, whatever side of the ball you're on. To see her get more comfortable in the system, start playing better, looking better, is really, really impressive and really scary for other teams. This was a game where Seattle just took advantage of the fact Minnesota's defense was not there tonight. And anytime Minnesota charged back, they got close and then they looked sloppy. And honestly, this is a huge game for Seattle. I think I tweeted this last night. If we're going to make a timeline of their season, this is definitely going to be like a point in the timeline. They took care of Minnesota, who was 9-0. For Minnesota, this needs to be a wake-up call. They haven't been playing their best basketball. Not that you should at this point, but you need to be playing better than you have been.
Yeah, first and foremost, I mean, that's the best I've seen Seattle look in years, to be honest with you, in my opinion. You finish with 5 players in double figures. That type of balanced scoring, I think any team in the league, you have 5 players in double figures. I'm putting my money that they're winning that game. I was really surprised how Seattle controlled the glass, out-rebounding Minnesota 34-26. The second chance points weren't that big of a differential. It was just, again, controlling the glass. You don't see that a ton out of Minnesota, but more than anything, the points in the paint. I mean, the Storm whooped them 50-32 in the paint. I think you hit the nail on the head with Malanga. Obviously, her getting comfortable offensively. She made one move last night, and I was so upset that the team account didn't retweet it or post it, because it kind of got me out of my seat. She looked so confident with this one specific move in the second half. But she was 4 of 5, finished with 4 rebounds. But more than anything, she made Nafisa Collier very uncomfortable down on the block. She made that paint, that interior area of the floor, very uncomfortable for about 12, 13 minutes. And especially in a key part of the second half. So Minnesota comes out at halftime and they go on an 11-1 run. And you could kind of see it, like there's a timeout. Seattle calls a timeout. Minnesota, you kind of got this impression, and I did it. I thought, oh, here we go. They're going to run away with this because this is, they're in control. And it almost felt like from that moment on, they let up a little bit. Collectively as a unit, they let up. And Seattle just continued to be, honestly, tougher. They were just tough. They were knocking down shots. They allowed some of their high energy plays to turn into high energy moments that they used in the second half. And I thought Minnesota looked a little bit lethargic at times. They weren't playing with the same type of energy and enthusiasm, whether you want to call that home court advantage, whatever it is. Obviously the Storm were up for that game. I do think it needs to be a wake-up call for Minnesota, because I don't think we've seen them put together a complete 40 minutes yet this season. I think when they do, they've put together 25 minutes. They look like they can go win the whole thing. But at times, I think they just let up. And I'm just really impressed with Seattle. I want to see them play at that type of consistency. I want to have them in the conversation as one of the top 4 teams in the league, because I don't want it to just be, Minnesota and New York. I want Seattle to get to that point. And last night was really encouraging from that standpoint.
Yeah, I think Seattle is that team that, from what we saw last night, they showed glimpses. I mean, heck, they showed it in that second half, how they can be a contender, a team that actually takes it all the way. Really, really impressive. Honestly, also, not only did Don Malanga make Fee uncomfortable, it kind of threw off the whole equilibrium of this team. And there are very few, if anybody, that I've seen so far in the past 3 years make Fee look that uncomfortable. But when you make Fee look that uncomfortable, you start to see bunnies being missed by Jessica Shepard when they're down by 1 under the hoop or down by 2 under the hoop.
She has that wide open layup.
Alana Smith. Jessica Shepard not there, overseas Eurobasket. Probably a good segue to our next topic. Just real quick, a couple thoughts. Yeah, Rachel, a lot of players are going to be leaving for Eurobasket. That's what's going to happen. We're going to see teams look a little bit different for the next month, depending on how long they're away. It's going to impact different teams in different ways. When you look at Minnesota, we look at this game, we go, oh, yeah, you have those issues. And then you're like, wait a second. Jess Shepard didn't play at all because she's not with the team currently. That's a huge impact player who does a lot for this team. So you kind of give a little bit, I don't want to say an excuse, but an excuse to Minnesota in that situation. But Minnesota obviously is not going to use that. A lot of players are going to be missing. That's going to impact DC. It's going to impact the Valkyries. It's going to impact a few other teams. Definitely. Most definitely.
Sure.
Their whole roster.
And real quick before we get going, I know, Valkyries are going to have a completely different team. I want to give a shout out to Paige Beckers. I don't think it would be fair for us to have a whole show and not talk about her performance last night against the Phoenix Mercury. I mean, 13 and 19, finished with 35 points.
5 for 7 from 3.
5 for 7 from 3. I mean, congratulations to Paige. I don't know where to begin with the rest of the Dallas Wings organization, but I think like at the end of the day, it's very similar. It's very similar to the same issues we see with like Vegas right now. You've got to make shots, like the shot making. I tweeted a stat about just Paige and then the rest of the team, the shooting percentage, and it's not just bad. Like, okay, knocking down open shots, it's how are we generating shots? And so the good news is Paige Beckers is back. Doesn't look like she skipped a beat whatsoever, made quite the statement in that return. Hopefully the rest of the Dallas Wings organization can settle into suit, because with her back on the court, even if she's not dropping 35 a night, we know because of the type of facilitator and player that she is, making everyone around her better, that she is going to help them generate higher percentage shots. So we'll see what happens with the Dallas Wings moving forward. But yeah, obviously, what are they? 1-10 right now?
1-10. They did lose last night. And since we're talking about players coming back, Alyssa Thomas came back, drops 11 points, 10 rebounds. That double-double 10 assists, only 2 rebounds, 2 steals, a block. That's just a classic Alyssa Thomas game. Honestly, a little bit of a down game for her. Just running over real quick, Satu Sabali with 20 points, Westbeld with 11, Sammy 8, Makani 9. But off the bench, Laksa and Held with 14 and 11 respectively. So they also, 5 players, double digits. They're getting good minutes. They're playing their bench. You and I were texting about this yesterday. The Mercury playing a video game-esque style of basketball. It's Alyssa Thomas, attack the hoop. If you get a shot, take your shot. If not, kick it out, and you are surrounded by shooters. And that is the style of basketball, Rachel, that we have talked about playing with Alyssa Thomas for years. It's so refreshing to see it. But more impressively is their defense. The buy-in on the defense, the give on the defense, the attention, the intensity. That's why the Mercury are able to be sitting right now at a 7-4 record. Because, hey, this team's buying in and they have shooters. So if you're not going to score more than me, and even if we have a cold night shooting, our defense is going to let us be still around in it. Any other final thoughts? I guess I have one final thought. We don't need to get into a whole convo about this because I know it's going to piss you off. Final thought. My leaving thought is, as the season continues to go on, I just keep thinking about how the Sky gave up the number 3 pick in this past draft, and they're giving up what seems to be a lottery pick to Minnesota in this next year's draft, all because of the great Chicago lie that they are a roster competing for a championship this year, or they are in a win now mode.
I think about it way more than someone should think about that, to be honest with you. I want everyone to know that, I think about it at least, once every, 3 hours. I can't. So I'm going to choose to focus on more positive things than the Chicago Sky organization and those decisions. My final thought is looking ahead. It's Thursday when we're recording this. No games tonight. Looking forward to Friday, Chicago Sky at the Atlanta Dream. I'm still trying to figure out Atlanta. I really want to watch that game intently and try to understand this dream team. And then you got Dallas Wings at Las Vegas Aces.
That one will be fun.
Let's see who makes shots that game. That'll be exciting. And then Saturday, big one, New York Liberty at Indiana Fever. Does Caitlin Clark return? We will see. I haven't seen any updated reporting as of today, but I know there was some early on feelers, questions that she could return for that Liberty game, if not the Connecticut Sun game on Tuesday. But keep an eye on those matchups. You got the Seattle Storm at Golden State on Saturday as well, and LA Sparks at Minnesota Lynx on Saturday.
We should also say, because we have one undefeated team remaining, just a real quick rundown of the Liberty upcoming schedule, highlight a few games that they might lose their undefeatedness or continue. They play the Fever, like you said, on Saturday. On Tuesday, they play the Dream. Then on Thursday, the Mercury. Those are home games. And then they go out to Seattle to play Seattle. So those these 4 next games, if Clark's playing, obviously the Fever are a different team. They'll still be getting back in their rhythm. But those 4 games are a test for this Liberty team who, let's be honest, has not had, I mean, I think I saw Lobo tweet something about Minnesota and New York having like the 12th and 13th hardest or easiest schedule, whichever way you look at it, this season so far. That's very obvious. They've played the Aces once, but besides that, it's been the Sky, the Valkyries, the Mystics, the Sun, the Sky. So let's see. I want to see this New York team finally get tested. We know what happened last time in that Fever game came down to those last 2 points, where honestly, I felt like the Fever kind of blew it. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of happens in these next 4 games for New York.
I don't think we've even seen the Fever we haven't seen the Fever at full strength. Like, that's still kind of a question mark, especially when you've got Caitlin out of the equation. How good can this team be? The gelling of everybody, still missing Sophie. Like, it could go literally either way. They could get blown out, or it can be a highly competitive game. So to be determined. A lot we will talk about next week.
Peace.